So it has been a little bit of time since we talked about the Nintendo Switches on this channel. Now, I want to go and create, again, another buying guide. I guess the Nintendo Switch OLED model came out almost a year ago, which is crazy. Time is flying, and I will definitely tell you, if you want to get the best console, if you want to get the best Nintendo Switch you can buy, the OLED model is the best one you can purchase. So if you're looking for the all-around better model, the all-around one that is just the best package all through and through, well, the Nintendo Switch OLED model is going to give you the best experience out of all of these. Number one, the screen of the Nintendo Switch OLED is really, really good. It is that big of a difference from the standard Nintendo Switch, and it is a mile ahead difference than the Nintendo Switch Lite. So I'll tell you, going up to the Switch OLED, that is going to be one of the bigger advantages of going to that specific, device. Now it's also a bigger display a little bit, which is really cool. And you're also getting a few things associated with that specific dock. You can have the option of actually getting that Ethernet dock, so you can go and plug in the Ethernet port to that specific dock, and that will go ahead and give you the capability of using a wired connection straight into your Nintendo Switch. So that is another really cool thing that the other Nintendo Switch actually didn't really have the capability of doing so. Now on top of that, I already feel like this, Switch stand, the kickstand on the back is, a little bit better. And I do kind of feel like the battery life of my OLED Switch is a little bit better too. But I will say the overall better package is with the, OLED Nintendo Switch. Now, I will say from an availability standpoint and really from a price tag standpoint as well, I feel like the Nintendo Switch Lite, the people who own these, I own this too, but I don't really play it as frequently. The people who own this and play this, as their main Nintendo Switch swear by this thing. They love the Nintendo Switch Lite like crazy, and I would 100% see why that is the case. This is a dedicated portable gaming console. Everything you can kind of do for the most part, unlike the other Nintendo Switches, you can do on this specific Switch. You can play all the games, you can watch all the content, you can do everything that the other Switches can do. There's a few things you cannot do, so you have to keep this in mind. One, you cannot connect any Joy-Cons to the Nintendo Switch Lite. You can do them wirelessly, but these Joy-Cons on the Switch Lite are embedded within the console. You cannot go and take them out, and that can be one of the bigger things that kind of draw people either away from this console, or maybe they, get drawn to this console like, okay, good, I don't want to have to deal with the Joy-Cons and all that other stuff. But I will tell you, a lot of Nintendo Switches have experienced, Joy-Con drift, and because of that, it may make a little bit more sense if you were to actually go and buy a Nintendo Switch that actually had some sort of, of kind of repairability and, taking off the Joy-Con and putting it back on. That way you could just replace them much easily. But I still say the Switch Lite, hey, if you're on a budget and if you're able to find these things at a pretty good value, then I would say go for it. It's not a bad deal at all. And, it's the one I would recommend the third. The OLED one is the number one. But the Switch Lite, if you're in the middle or whatever, if you're, really wanting only a portable console and this thing fits the market, then go for it. I just don't think the display is that good. I think it is a little bit of a downgrade from the Switch, the original one, even though Nintendo, I guess, never really stated it. And it looks like the battery life really isn't as good as the other Switches as well. So it's probably another big thing to keep in mind. But this does take me to the original Nintendo Switch. This is my Switch that I kind of put the most amount of time on within the last 3-4 years. But literally within the last year, it's really been primarily my OLED Switch. And this is the Switch that I think most people probably have. And I would say this should be the Switch that most people probably would keep. I don't see why if you have the Nintendo Switch, you would go to the Nintendo Switch OLED. There are, the differences like I mentioned, but I think if you have the standard Nintendo Switch, this is a really good console still. There's some downgrades. I think the fans kick on a little bit too much. The display isn't as sharp as the OLED ones, and you're missing that Ethernet port in the dock and things like that. But I do think when this thing is docked, I think it's a really good docked console. I have very few complaints of it when I'm playing it in a docked mode, and I have very few complaints with it when I'm playing it undocked. It's a really good console through and through. Everything I've done with this console has been very, very good, and I think those are the things that I always remember this specific console on. If I were, in the market and I had maybe $200 something to spend in the used market, if I had to really make it stretch, I could maybe find it an original Nintendo Switch at this point, but I do think the standard Nintendo Switch is probably the safest option if you don't know if you want the OLED one or if you want the Switch Lite, or if you don't know if you want to spend as much money on the OLED Switch. You will still find a very, very good console on the original Nintendo Switch. This is 95% of the OLED Switch. Again, there's no like speed differences, there's no more RAM on the OLED Switch, there's nothing. So if you're just planning on keeping it docked all the time, then just get the original Nintendo Switch. It's literally almost the same as that console. So that's a little bit of a buying guide, like, from my experience of using these Switches, from making so many comparisons and reviews. Hopefully this kind of makes a little bit more sense to you. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.